We're going to talk about something simple. We're going to talk about the importance of redundancy because you need it. And a lot of people want to go into business. They want to start a business. They want to do this thing, but they don't want to talk about the importance of redundancy. So today we're going to talk about that. What's going on, everybody? If this is your first time on this channel, my name is Ty. I'm a former Army combat photographer, the owner of FlashFilm Media, and your guy here at FlashFilm Academy. And this channel is simply about teaching you how to turn your passion into profit, period. Today, we're going to talk about something that's extremely important if you decide to go into business. If you decide that you want to make this something you do for real, you have to practice this thing called redundancy. So let's talk about a few things. Let's talk about the idea of redundancy, because once we decide to put a contract in place and get a non-refundable retainer or a deposit or something like that, once we make that decision, we have to hold up our part of the agreement and making sure that we offer the value of a company doing this over a person. Remember, that's a part of our value. It's a part of why people choose to work with us, because we got uniforms, we got trucks, we got our name on stuff. We look like we offer a lot of reassurances, right? It's the same reason you may go to the dealership over going to Johnny that got one bay and he just fixing one car at a time. It's because you feel like if something happened to Johnny, you're jacked if you go that route. But if you go to the dealership, it may be 3 or 4 people working on it. That's value. It sells the idea of value to you as a client and reassurance. And hey, I'm cool. Everything's fine if this goes wrong. Companies hire you to cover their event and you sprain your ankle and you're this big so-called company. They're going to expect somebody else to walk up and cover you and fix it. You need to make sure you have that covered. So we're going to talk about redundancy on multiple levels. The first area of redundancy, which is the easiest, is the camera, right? People just want 2 memory cards, but rarely do a memory card go out. What happens if your camera go out? You can have 6 memory cards. It don't matter. You need to own 2 cameras per angle. Don't say I got 2 cameras and we're getting 2 different angles. It's not good enough. You need to own 2 cameras per camera angle. If you're in business with drones, you need to have 2 drones. You want cameras that at the bare minimum, they share the same color profile. What does that mean, Ty? It means you can have an A6500 and an A7S III as long as you can match the colors easily. You want to both put them on picture profile, 7, and have the ability to shoot 2 different angles or shoot and kind of pick up where the other one left off. And there's no crazy amount of change in color. I talk about this in the course like crazy because that is the fastest way to get ran out of town. When you have one camera, you're shooting a wedding, something happens and your camera dies, and here you are running around with your cell phone because you can't redo that. And this is extremely important if you shoot any event-based content. Anything that you can't stop and say pause and redo, you definitely want to have a second camera there. I'm not saying I got my wide angle, my close up. You still need another camera or 2 in your bag in case something dies. That way everything got the same battery. Everything takes the same cards. Everything work with the same monitor. You don't want to have a Panasonic and a Blackmagic and something happen and you got to remember all the settings and dials. You don't want to go through that. Whatever I shoot with nothing but that for business. I'll give you an example. Right now, my camera of choice is the A7S III. We have multiple A7S IIIs. And what we do is we create the settings in one, and you can save those settings to an SD card, load it in multiple cameras, and reload those same settings. So I know if I go to any of my cameras, all of my picture profiles, all of my quick menus, everything is the exact same with every camera. You want to make it that simple, that easy. Choose a brand, choose a camera you like, and stick with it. You may not think it's a big deal, but you may have a client that, yeah, they may be spending 2,000-3,000 with you, but they may be spending another 20, 30, 50,000 in labor to make sure those people are there and paid for your event, and you can't capture it. To you, it's like, what's the big deal? We can come back tomorrow. But to that business owner who are paying people to sit around and do nothing so that they can get these headshots or do these interviews or whatever, to them, it's way more expensive than you're thinking about. And I want to make sure you understand that before you blow off how important redundancy is. If your camera goes down, your client should not even know. They should just think you're switching cameras just because. So now we covered camera. You want a camera preferably that shoots 2 cards so you can record to both cards at the same time. That's another layer of redundancy. This also includes things that you will need to get the job done, right? Audio equipment, flashes, soft boxes. I've had a soft box or a C-stand blow over and the whole flash shatter into pieces. What am I going to do? Am I going to continue with the shoot, or am I going to pack up and say, all right, y'all, we're going to try this another day? No, if you can't afford 2 of them, you can't afford 1. If for whatever reason this gear goes down, you're done. You're going to have a hard time getting business. It's that deep. And I want to make sure you are taking this serious, because all these contracts and all this stuff you're doing to cover yourself will completely backfire if they get to court and say, Your Honor, he only had 1 camera. When it broke, we didn't get the rest of our wedding pictures. We want our money back, plus we want to recoup the damages. They'll come after you, and they can, because as a business, you should have redundancy. Cable redundancy, Mr. B, you're absolutely right. XLR cables, SDI cables, audio cables, micro USB cables. Cable redundancy is extremely huge, because you'll have a cable with a bad jack or some audio cable that's making static. Oh man, I can't tell you how much craziness I went through doing multicam shoots back when I was using a lot of Blackmagic decks to record and running SDI cables, and you're trying to run 200 feet cables. Somebody trip, walk, something happen, that cable goes out. In a live performance, you can't figure it out. You got to run another one. So redundancy on cable is extremely huge. Redundancy in how you capture things, right? Let's talk about audio. I am a shotgun microphone type of dude. When I say shotgun, I mean on the boom pole. I mean overhead hanging mic. I will also run a lav mic, and I will run a shotgun on top of my camera pointed at the subject if I am close enough. I always recapture multiple forms of audio. Preferably, I usually capture them into a place where I can control the input or the gain levels separately. I don't want to capture everything at one level, so if they scream and peak on one thing, it's jacked up on everything. Really good audio equipment will allow you to capture a mono signal into a stereo input, and it'll automatically stagger the sound. That's how you should be capturing audio. Just in case one pop, one click, one snap, one miss, you have another feed to pull it from. This happens a lot if you work in the world of wireless audio. Wireless audio is great. It is a beautiful invention, but it will never beat cables. However, people can run over a cable, so you want to capture it in many different places. Mr. B says pants redundancy. We keep extra uniforms in the van. We've had stuff happen. I have a whole full-size spare tire. So I got my regular spare and I got a whole, so I can get 2 flats at the same time, change out and still make a job. Well, Ty, why would you do that? Because I've had that happen. I've been on my way to a shoot. Something fell off a truck in front of me, hit my front 2 tires, and I had 2 flats at the same time for a big shoot with the Dallas Cowboys. Luckily, I had 2 tires and we put them on and kept going. We'll figure it out later. Redundancy in capturing video. I like to use my Adamus recorder. I just want multiple forms of footage. So I'm usually capturing 4K on the camera. It has a 1080p version, which is a proxy, and then I'm usually capturing it on my Adamus recorder as well. This gives me 3 methods of recording, even though they're all coming from the same source, just in case something happens to a file. You listen to these YouTubers that's telling you about business, and they're not telling you about the dirty stuff. This is the dirty stuff you got to know about if you want to do this for a living. Buy cheaper gear that you can buy 2 of, 3 of. It's way more valuable to you as a business than having that one expensive camera. Don't do it. Don't shoot in 8K. Shoot in 4K twice. Don't shoot in 4K if you can't afford it. Shoot in 1080p 4 times. Just make sure you cover your butt. A few other things. Whenever I bring second shooters, I always have a backup shooter. I always have a backup shooter to the second shooter. So when I was newer and I didn't have a staff, I literally had second shooters that bailed on me the day before or hours before the shoot. It's not gonna happen. I always keep an ace in the hole. I have another shooter on standby that I usually give the thumbs up that I'm okay once I arrive on shoot. Not only do I have backups for second shooters, I have backups for myself. I have really good friends that either used to work for me that now have a production company. And this is why you want to, when people work with you, you don't want to be afraid of people going off doing their own thing, because them going off doing their own thing can help you. I have a good friend of mine and we cover each other on shifts. Now, this friendship is based off trust. It's not based off, I don't feel like working today, let me call Ty. No, we have families. We have things that can come up, emergencies that can happen that may prevent us from going to the shoot. Do I pay him? Do he pay me? If we go do the shoot, yes. But we both have businesses and we are each other's insurance. Develop that relationship with someone that's close to you. So redundancy in every way possible. Start with your gear, then go to accessories. Transportation is a big deal. If you got a company van, then you want to go to make sure your second shooter, your personnel, you have redundancy there too. And then you want to have redundancy for yourself. Make sure somebody can cover the shoot. They have the address. They have the information to cover it. Remember, I tell you to write up your systems and processes so the person covering you understand, hey, I need a gray backdrop. Hey, I need this. Hey, I need that. They understand how to step right in and do what you got to do. This is the importance of having a niche and offering products to that niche, because your products are redundant. You're doing the same shoots over and over again. And if somebody needs to step in, they know exactly how to step in, where to step in, what to do. Don't look me in my face and say, I'm doing this for a living. I'm getting customers and clients, and you are one short-circuited battery away from being out of business. You do not want to be that close to being on the streets. You do not want to be that close to not feeding your family. You do not want to be that close to being in a situation where your reputation is tarnished. Hey, keep in mind that the video you just watched contains clips from a longer lecture that's available to our gold members at FlashFilmAcademy.com. You can go to FlashFilmAcademy.com to watch the complete lectures if you want to get all the gems and all the information, or you can stay on the channel and continue watching some of our content here. Just click one of those boxes somewhere around here. Just, yeah, you know where to go. Right up in here, somewhere, wherever it pops up, you know what to do. You got this.